Welcome to Marriage Matters with host
Bryant
and Shonda Wright.
Welcome to Marriage Matters.
Where your marriage matters to us.
I am Bryant
And Chanda,
Wright.
right?
Right.
Right.
Woohoo!
So we're going to be talking about
Yeah.
the three-letter word
Ooh.
that starts with an S. You don't know?
Oh, I know.
You don't know?
I know. We talking? We ready?
You so quiet.
You ready?
Quiet over there. Cat got your tongue? What's going on?
Huh? We talking about the bat signal.
And what is the bat signal?
Hey, the bat signal is anything that a woman says. Is that the best? That the husband think is that the signal? I mean, if y'all don't want us to think that everything is a signal, then y'all probably shouldn't be talking to us.
That's terrible.
Good morning. Huh? Is that the signal? You rang? Like Lurch off of Adam's Family. You rang?
Well, actually, we're going to be talking about the sexless marriage. But before we jump into our topic on today, we're going to talk. We talk about communication, and there's.
I'm sorry. Disclaimer. That's unhealthy. Sexless marriage is unhealthy and unbiblical, ungodly. It's all type of uns. It ain't right. Okay, I'm off my soapbox now.
Okay, so we talk about communication a lot because it's very important to.
Very important. You don't want to talk about it then. You ain't gonna talk about it now. I think I want to talk about it.
I bet you do. So you have 4 different communication types, but you also, let's say this: you have 4 different communication types,
True.
which include written,
Which is verbal.
nonverbal, and you forgot?
I'm still stuck on the sex part.
Oh my God, visual.
Visual. I got it.
Visual.
got it.
Men are visual most of
Oh,
the
yeah.
time, right?
Very visual.
So how you forget that? And then you have 4, there's more than 4. These are just the ones we're dealing with. But you have 4 types of communication styles.
Which is positive.
Passive.
I knew that.
Passive. You do need to be positive.
In your passivity.
Passive aggressive, and assertive.
Let me assert myself. Is it time to talk about the signal?
Oh wow.
Wow. See, you just messed up the whole. My mind is my mind fried.
Yeah, you can't get a man to talk now. When you bring up that,
Huh?
you can't get him to shut up.
What? I don't know if that's politically correct.
I didn't mean shut up.
Okay,
I guess
yeah.
I didn't mean to say that, but
See that was aggressive.
Oh,
That's communicating aggressive.
I apologize.
Aggressively.
My bad.
I don't know. See, then you seen the nonverbal cues. I apologize. My bad. See,
what?
I don't even know what she meant.
What? I didn't even do that. I said I apologize. My bad.
Now you got to make it up to.
Oh wow. So passive communication avoids expressing their feelings and opinions. They're very passive about it. And then they'll say something like, people never consider my feelings.
Because they don't want to talk about it.
Basically, they avoid talking about it. They're very passive to try to keep the peace a lot of times.
Don't want no smoke.
Which doesn't work.
No, because you have to deal with the issue.
And you know my saying, we go from one end of the spectrum to the other. So if you're not passive,
you are aggressive.
Aggressive. And aggressive is just the opposite of passive.
You're doing too much.
You're going to get your point across. You're going to overly express yourself sometime. at the cost or the expense of
You
others.
think you're going to get your point across, because when you start talking crazy like that, people going to tune you out. You fight against your own cause. You're still not going to get your point across.
And don't be long-winded and aggressive. That's a whole nother topic.
You're going to make them go to the kid stage. La, 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 la.
Man.
I am not listening to you. I'm sorry.
Cause you're going to be, when you go off, you're going to be going off and off and off. And like you ain't going to let up. You're going to go on and on and on. Never ending. Then you got the passive-aggressive communicator.
Yeah, the 1 minute they passive, next minute they're aggressive.
Well, they appear to be passive on the surface.
They playing possum.
Nice, nasty.
Oof.
That's more like it.
Nice, nasty.
And assertiveness, that's the one that's considered to be the most healthy form of communication, where you're expressing your thoughts, feelings, opinions in a way that makes sense to others.
In a constructive manner.
Yeah, more constructive.
You're being rather
manner.
civilized.
And so we have to examine ourselves and understand where our communication styles, types, and
Where
things.
they lie.
Yeah.
Who
yeah.
are you? Who are you?
And I just mentioned this because it's one of the elephants in the rooms that get
Ain't no elephant in the room.
swept under the rug when it comes to sex. And being passive or being aggressive or being passive aggressive or being assertive, and not understanding why your spouse may be
Hesitant,
right,
withholding
or maybe not even communicating
their need.
their needs very well, depending on their form of communication and the way they're comfortable with being open and honest and vulnerable, like we talked about. So,
Yes, you have to be vulnerable.
and it also coincides with rejection.
That's a bad word.
Yeah, the sexless marriage and rejection kind of go together.
That's a bad word.
And it just all ties into passion killers and a sexless marriage. So a sexless marriage issue includes but not limited to selfishness, could be health issues,
Definitely.
abuse.
Or communicating in the wrong manner can cause a person not to be willing to be active.
Yeah, it's a passion killer. That's another passion killer. It could just be stress.
But what I will say, in certain instances, women will be like, when men are always ready, definitely a passion killer, or whatever, passion killer. Men are always ready, or whatever. If you disrespect that man, if you don't communicate correctly with that man, regardless if men are more, or some men, not all, but if they are more, what's the word I'm looking for? Ready? They
have a higher libido, technically.
If you disrespect that man, even then, it will become a sexless marriage because of the disrespect.
Definitely.
Respect is key.
And that goes back to intentional versus unintentional, because again, you can unintentionally be disrespectful. It's not your goal or your intent to disrespect that man, but situations, circumstances, life issues, kids, jobs, frustrations of life can cause sometimes a disconnect, emotional disconnection, as well as physical.
But what I would say is it's important for us to hear, again, going back to what we were talking about, because if your spouse is communicating you that you hurt them, whether it's physical pain, or whether you hurt their feelings or whatever the case may be, then you need to take that account. Again, you don't get a chance to tell them that their feelings are not valid. And so, as far as you speaking on being unintentional, disrespectful, if I tell you that this is something that I feel is disrespectful, then and you continue to go past that stop sign or whatever the case may be, then it becomes, I'm gonna feel like you intentionally doing it. It's not
Right.
It's not unintentional, whatever the case may be.
Right.
It's gonna be considered inconsiderate.
Right.
Inconsiderate.
And that's part of the issue, because we say it's done unintentionally, and you have the adult conversation, and then it continues to happen. Now you're saying, okay, the first time or the second time, I might say it was unintentional.
Facts.
But
Correct.
if I keep communicating to you,
that this is something that I feel is disrespectful, and you continue to do it anyway, then it's intentional.
and whether it's intentional or not, it's gonna be considered
It's intentional.
Intentional, like point blank period. You ain't
Now-
gonna keep using that excuse.
It's true, but sometimes you do, like we talk about the learned behaviors. Sometimes you do have to go back and revisit things, because the way you have learned throughout the years or whatever the case may be. So I would say don't penalize a person that has been trying, Like the Bible says, despise not the day of small beginnings. If you have a spouse that's been trying and then they revert back, sometimes you guys got to revisit it. It don't mean for you to blow their wig back. I told you this, that, and the other, whatever the case may be, and you're still doing it. No, you have an adult conversation where you talking to an adult, or whatever the case may be. If you won't want someone talking to your wife that way, then don't you talk to your wife that way. If you don't want somebody, if you wouldn't want somebody talking to your husband that way, then don't you speak to your husband that way in that tone with the neck rolling, the eye popping, and the finger pointing, and death to all mankind. I mean, no. I'm just saying.
So, at the end of the day, disrespect plays a big part
And the sex death,
in a sex drive,
killer.
and it can kill the connection
It can.
between a husband and a wife.
Facts.
So the sexless marriage, again, according to my teachings, is due to a lack of knowledge. And what does a sexless marriage look like? Just once a month, once every other month, or not at all,
Once a year.
if that. And some, you talk about the reasoning. Sometimes it can be health issues, like we said, maybe ED, erectile dysfunction,
And if it's a health issue, you can seek and get help for that. But if it's I'm getting even issue, you need to get help for that too, because God said you should not withhold from your spouse. Your body is not your own, i.e., this is me, this is all me, this is all, okay. You get the point.
Yeah. So, reasons for a sexless marriage, again, we talked about if it's not a health issue, it can be a disconnect in a marriage. If you're not enjoying sex with your spouse, you have a disconnection. It's a dead cat on the line somewhere. Because you're supposed to be able to enjoy sex with your spouse. If you're not enjoying sex with your spouse and you want to, then you have to have an adult conversation. You're going to have to be able to communicate about it. You're going to have to be able to communicate and be open and honest and vulnerable.
And communicate your likes, your dislikes, be open, honest, and vulnerable. If somebody says, because ultimately your spouse has to trust you. And if the spouse can, and this goes outside of the bedroom, your spouse got to trust you, period. And if the spouse don't trust you in one area, it's definitely going to creep over in the bedroom. Now, ain't no need you trying to be all nice and trustworthy now. You know what I'm saying? That you in the mood, talking about, baby, come on, go with me. Come on over to my place. No.
And we talked a lot about disrespect for the men, and we didn't touch a lot on love for women, because women want and need to feel the love. If they don't feel love, you ain't getting no love.
Woo,
Okay.
That makes you feel love, baby.
Better pay attention.
You know I love you.
No, you better make sure.
You know
You better get it right,
I
Mr.
love
Right.
you.
You got to be able to speak each other's love language as well.
Truth.
That's another big topic, you know.
And you have to find out what love language your spouse speaks. Talking communication still. You got to be able to communicate it. It's 5 love languages. Dr. Gary Chapman has a book on it. One is physical touch. The other one is words of affirmation. Another is acts of service. Another is time and gifts. So you need to learn. And one is most dominant, but sometimes there's more than one. So you need to be bilingual. You need to be bilingual, be able to speak the language of love.
Yes, it's very important that your spouse feels loved and secure.
And definitely. And men, I got to tell you right now, most women, they have different love, but one that is in there somewhere is acts of service. I repeat, acts of service. Be nice to the girl. Do things for the girl. Fix things for the girl if you can. Now, if you're a man that's not able to fix things, then you need to make sure you are the reason that it gets fixed, however.
Correct. Because I don't want to have to deal with the repair guy, too.
You ain't dealing with the repair guy, too.
Yeah, I don't need to deal with him. That's something I want my husband to deal with. If he got to call a repair guy, or if we need a repair guy, I want him there, or him calling, or him dealing with it. I don't want to deal with the repair guy. That's just me.
Fact. It's strange phenomenon with, just for the guys out there, strange phenomenon with the acts of service. Somehow this turns women on speaking this language. So get your tool belt, get your all the tools that you need, get your couple of tool belts.
Yeah.
You're gonna need it.
Yeah. To each his own though, because if you're speaking your spouse's love language, it could just be time. You don't have to fix nothing. You don't have to buy no gifts necessarily. You know, just spending time watching a movie, Netflix, and chilling with your spouse.
If that's the love language.
Yeah, time is one of them. So if that's the love language,
spin it.
It can be as simple as that. And this is important because you can be buying gifts and doing acts of service or being
and you missing the mark.
Yeah.
I remember when we were young in our marriage, and my wife like, "Do you love me?" And so this is the thing where most men get it wrong, or they feel like, "Woman, what do you mean? Are you crazy? What do you mean I love you? What do you think I'm going to this job that I hate, that I loathe? I hate. I'm going to this job, not only going to this job, but then I'm doing overtime." And I'm like, "Yeah, you know, I'm paying all the bills in the house. You know I love you." And then she just hit me with this, "That means nothing." Not that it means nothing, but her love language was time. So I had to understand that I'm putting in extra hours at this job, and so I'm taking away her time. So now she's not feeling the love, you know. So once I got that, then, you know, I had to put the time in.
Yes, because especially if you're in a marriage where there's kids, there's basketball, there may be volleyball, there may be gymnastics, wrestling, boxing, and then you're both working full time.
Yeah.
Like all of those can be passion killers as well, even though they're normal, considered, you know what I'm saying, just a part of everyday life.
Everyday routine.
But if busyness.
You have to find time. See, this is where that scripture come into place. This is what the Lord meant. Do not leave room, to the enemy. Give no room, no place to the enemy. When you are not spending the quality time, then you can give space and room to the enemy. You don't want that. No office.
Yes.
To the enemy.
Yes, busyness can be a big factor to a sexless marriage.
And it's legitimate stuff that you're doing. See how I come alive with this topic? This is wonderful. I am such a good listener. Good husband.
Pat you on the back, babe.
You might have to move my hand from back there. I've been patting myself on the back so much.
Exactly. That's a good point.
What? We're talking about the sexist marriage.
Okay, we're going to keep it on topic. We're going to keep it on topic.
Gotta stay on
I'm
topic.
not going to go there with you right now.
We'll deal with that later.
But when we talk about the sexless marriage, you have to talk about the libido. We know that there's opposites. One is going to always have a higher libido than the other. So whether it's the man or the woman, one of them is going to always want sex more than the other. So if you have the higher libido, you're more likely to initiate sex, and you're likely to initiate more often. And the spouse with the lower libido may never initiate sex.
Never?
Every blue moon,
ever?
every once in a while. Because what I've come to understand is when the one that has the lower libido,
Lay the heavy stuff on me.
if you have a higher libido than your spouse, you're initiating sex regularly. If your spouse is satisfying that initiation, then they don't have a need because they have a lower libido.
So you're not talking about living la vida loca, right? You're talking about, okay, just making sure.
That sounds like
I'm just making sure that's just the crazy life. I'm just making
adultery or something.
No.
Talking about living libido loco. You trying to sow your broad oats or something. That's what I heard.
No,
what you saying? What you meant?
No, I was agreeing with you.
Oh, okay.
The libido.
Yeah.
Ain't that the dance they do when they going under the thing?
Limbo. Really?
Oh, I'm sorry.
You so funny. Not. But anyway.
What? I think the audience no, I'm sorry. Getting back to topic.
Yeah.
Libido.
Yeah. So I think that's important for couples to understand because initiating can be a big
Deal?
Yeah, and a turn off as well. Because the spouse that has to initiate all the time doesn't, especially if they're getting more no's than yes, doesn't feel, you know what I'm saying?
Loved?
Right, they don't feel wanted, loved.
They feel rejected.
Right, go back to that rejection.
And nobody wants to be rejected.
Like they gotta force their spouse.
You don't want to force your spouse. And don't want to feel like you're forcing your spouse.
Right. So even when in a sexless marriage, even when the spouse is like going along to get along.
Going along to get along?
Right. So when you initiate, even though they don't want it, they still try to meet that need.
That meeting the need, that meeting the obligation of their vows.
But it feels more like a chore and an obligation than then it feels like a good intimate connection. So
like cleaning the yard?
So you know
You said chore.
I'm saying because you know if the spouse does it as a chore or out of duty, it's still not gonna be satisfying for either spouse.
If they don't, like you always say, show up.
Get your head in the game.
And you just there?
You gotta get your head in the game. You definitely gotta get your head in the game. So there are some things you can do if you're dealing with a sexless marriage to try to reconnect and have a healthy sex life.
And some people don't understand too. Sometimes it can be, it's a huge issue with women, and a lot of people don't understand. Even with some men now, maybe they've been abused when they were younger, and so that plays a part in them not being there, or how can I put that?
Yeah, being there but not there. That's the most simplest way, I guess. They're not there. They're there physically but not emotionally because of trauma and triggers and abuse that may have taken place. And again, emotions are buried alive are not dead. They're still alive and well, and sometimes growing.
And they have to they don't even understand it themselves, and they would have to get help. You know, it's not always your spouse is doing this to spite you. If your spouse haven't let you in on some of the things that they've been they experience in their life, which like you know what I'm saying, like an open book or whatever the case may be. So these are some things, and again, this could be something that's hidden, or even it's not done on purpose.
Yeah, unintentional, because it's hidden, and they don't even realize that. Again, that's an issue, or that it's not that's the normal reason. Or you know what you would normally do or have in a healthy sexual marriage, versus this may be the environment or the culture again.
But the culture say it ain't for married people. Married people don't do that. Marriage is supposed to be sexless.
Right, that's what the culture tells you.
That's what they say.
But the devil is a lie.
The devil is a lie.
My
and the father of
sexless.
That's
for sure.
Oh,
now,
hey.
not to say we ain't go through our dry spells either.
Hey, you say what? That the bad signal? What?
Everything is the bad signal. Which, again, is a good point to talk about, too. Because that go back to communication. If your spouse consider everything the bat signal, then there's still a dead cat on the line somewhere, because we're not assertive enough in our communication or vulnerability or openness to say, I'm ready, or I want it, or whatever it is you need to say or do in that instant.
Make up some cold words or something. But is this the right platform to be church people be talking about sex?
God created it, didn't he?
Well, this is for the marriage people, ain't it?
And didn't he create it?
He created it.
For marriage?
For marriage.
Then, hey.
He created just for me.
Yeah, he says better to marry than to burn. That's for sure.
This is true.
Joker.
This is definitely true.
You know, we tell people all the time, that's the only reason we got married.
They didn't want to burn.
No, not just that.
Oh.
But have sex legally in the sight of God.
What?
You know what we say? Like.
But y'all supposed to be holy.
You know what we say?
Y'all supposed to be church people.
Like when people say you tell people you got married because you love them. No, you got married because you want to have sex legally in the eyes of the Lord. Because I can love you without marrying you.
I can hang out with you and everything else.
We can do everything, but have sex
so
legally.
This is the sexless marriage.
Yeah, so we want you to bring sexy back to your marriage. You gotta bring sexy back. You can't just look good to go to work. You can't just dress up to go to church. You can't just shave.
You gotta take care of your first ministry.
Yes.
Which is your house.
Yes.
Your house. How could you take care of the other house where you gotta take care of your house?
Yes, and in order to have a better sex life, you gotta look good, feel good, smell good, have positive reinforcements, you know.
You can't just say, I got her now so I don't have to cut my hair, put on nice clothes, put on some cologne, and vice versa as a woman. I got them trapped now, we got 16 kids and...
Hold up.
What?
When you talk about the women, she trapped them.
Wait.
But when you talked about the men, you was just like, woo, 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 woo. But when it came to the woman...
What? Did I say that?
Yeah. You said, I done trapped them now. I ain't gotta do nothing no more.
I think I'm having
selective memory.
Intentional amnesia.
Wow. Wow, I told you, words are powerful. Words are powerful.
Be careful of your communication. I am Bryant.
I am Chanda.
This is Marriage Matters. Hope you enjoy it. Hope you tune in again.
Marriage Matters, a production of World Outreach Conference Center, located 4 East 111th Street, Chicago, Illinois, 60628. Phone number 773-264-2588.
Bryant Wright.
Shonda Wright, executive producers. DM Blossom, producer. Thanks for tuning in.